Geltrude and Company's founder joins us now to talk more about this and what effect this could have. She basically said, if you are going to have student debt that's held by the government, you should have the same level of services as the professional financial services industry, and we're not able to provide that. What do you think of this idea?
Well, the first positive in all this is that you actually have the government admitting they can't get something right. They can't possibly service these loans the way they need to be. So there's no question about the fact that there has to be a significant change with the way student loans are being handled. But if you step back and really look at what is the root cause of this whole situation beyond just servicing the student debt, is really that students are taking on too much debt. And the question is taking on that debt a good investment? Now, that may not be something too popular to say, but you have people that are going to expensive private universities, taking on an enormous amount of debt, and then what's going to be the return on the investment of what your career is going to hold? Because you could put yourself in a situation where you will be in debt forever.
Well, this is the Peter Thiel argument of, four-year college maybe not as worthwhile as it once was, not as valuable. And certainly we've seen that trend happen in law schools where you're seeing people decide that if I can't go to one of the top 30 or whatever it is, I'm not going to go. But, at the same time, we've had a lot of startups on this show, Dan, come in and say, here's how we're fixing it with tech. And, they all have different approaches. Remember, Adam, we had a startup come on and say, we're fixing it.
Yeah, but it was a private loan.
Yeah.
It was just refinancing. Who's going to wind up holding the bag on this?
Exactly.
We have 1.5 trillion taxpayers. Yes.
Yes and no, Adam, because the interesting thing about this is for these students that are taking on all this debt, they actually can't get out of it. Bankruptcy is not going to help them. They're on the hook until death do they part. Well, so, yes, it is a taxpayer issue. Ultimately, if these loans are not paid back, because you do have default issues inching into the situation right now, but it's really something that we have to take a close look at.
Well, then if that's the case, does the solution that DeVos is proposing actually get at any of that? Or is it really just moving oversight to this new agency that will then report to Congress and try to fix it that way?
You can keep trading the debt around wherever you want.
Well, listen, in football terms, this is called punting on first down, right? Because I think she's looking at it and saying, this is a no-win situation for my department. So the best way for me to handle is to push it somewhere else. Now, that could be the right answer if they have the ability to do a better job, but I'm not so sure that I trust government to really be able to get this situation under control. I would actually like to see this become privatized and have a little bit more oversight.
It somewhat is privatized, except it's the U.S. government's kind of like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The U.S. government backs it. And that in itself, the simplest solution, actually, because taxpayers be on the hook, is bankruptcy. Change the bankruptcy law, because I think the default rate is actually, it's a little bit less than 10%. Right. So bankruptcy would allow people to clear out the debt if they can't manage it.
But that's the people who are at the extreme, Adam, right? Because you have so many people that are struggling, they're getting by, but they never have the ability to truly get ahead because this debt is strangling them.
They're not bankrupt, but they're being killed by the monthly payments.
Right, and it affects all of their decision-making as well. What do you counsel clients when they have a heavy student debt load? I mean,
Well, the counseling, right, Julie, the counseling actually needs to start before you're actually taking on the debt. So I try to look at this as an ROI, return on investment decision. And I say this, when it comes to college, go state or great. Right? So look for the bargain education in a state university where, quite frankly, it's just as good as what you'll get at a private university. Or if you do have the ability to go to a really top-notch university, well, then make that decision, because it will be a good return on investment, because that debt you take on, presumably with their network, you will get it back.
If you do a medical degree, there are some states where they'll actually, Alaska does this. You give them 4 years, they pay your medical bills. That's another discussion. Not a lot of doctors.
It's almost like ROTC.
There you go.